Recording.
Hello, Goddess. Welcome back. It's Andrea with You Are Mind, Body, Soul. And in this temple space, I guide your inner goddess to bridge the mind, body, and soul through psychosomatic education, consciousness reconditioning, as well as alchemy and energetics. Come on in. I hope that you have something nice to drink. I've got my water today, especially because the topic that we are talking about is communication, types of communication, that divine communication with your inner goddess self. Communication is life. It is the way that we vibe and how we co-create and how we link and how we connect. Communication can be something that is active. It can be something that is passive. Communication can be verbal. It can be non-verbal. And so recently I was inspired to start to discuss this topic because for me personally in my life, I have gone through this very expansive journey, particularly with my voice and with my throat chakra. And I want to share a bit about that with you today, as well as some tips. Of course, I have my notes here. Y'all already know what's up. And before I get too deep into this experience with you, I want to remind you to please like this video so algorithm can do its magical, mysterious thing that we love and need. Please remember to share the goddesses such as yourself can receive these messages. And please remember to subscribe so that we can continue to grow and reach this new mile marker of 250. And I can start to go live and I can start to share some of my new space with you. Like, I have so much to share. I'm so happy to be in this new space. As y'all can see, I have this background painting, which it's a gorgeous painting. I love the painting. I'm just not sure if I'm going to continue to film with this background. However, I have the tapestry, which is what I have traditionally been in front, which I think I like more. Actually, inside of my bedroom, which is where I want to film, but the lighting right there is not quite how I want it, how I need it to be. So we're out here for now. And I do want to explore other backgrounds and everything as we continue. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump in. And thank you. Shout out to all of my new subscribers. I see you. I appreciate you. I value you. And I love your comments. I love knowing that these messages resonate with you, especially being that this is free content and I have a very multifaceted life. So coming and sharing this information with you is just, it encourages me so much when I know that you are vibing with these messages, communication. So thank you. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the reason that I want to talk about communication with you is because as we are tapping into our divine feminine goddess energy, we want to become more sophisticated in the way in which we are speaking to ourselves. Because the way in which you speak to yourself is the way in which you communicate with the universe, because you are the universe. And so as we move into the summer season, I feel really called here on this channel to start to really get into the consciousness and the energetics of what different dimensions mean. So there is the two dimension, the 2D, which is how we are communicating now. You're looking at me through some type of device, some type of screen. That's two dimension. Okay. There is third dimension is when you are actually physically in person with somebody and you are having a material physical experience of life. It's coming, it's material, it's here, it's present, it's in your physical reality right now, not something that you're talking about or thinking about, right? So all of these thoughts that we have that really suck our energy, our conscious, well, unconscious energy, really, most thoughts that are going to suck your energy are usually unconscious. Those things are not actually present in the 3 dimension and the third dimension. The fourth dimension is not talked about very often, but if you're psychic or you have extrasensory perceptions, like you are aware that, there are ghosts and spirits and other entities that are surrounding us. So speaking to your spirit guides, communicating with them, communicating with your ancestors, whether you have some type of spiritual practice like Ifa, or if you are a Buddhist or whatever have you, inside of the fourth dimensional realm, this is where these spiritual beings exist, angels, ascended masters, that we would not necessarily be able to see visually unless our frequency is aligned with those higher dimensions, right? So we're opening up, we are expanding our awareness of what this reality actually pertains. And then there's the fifth dimension, which a lot of people like to talk about and throw around and use as keywords. The fifth dimension is the realm of vibration. It is the realm of energetics. It is the realm of the unseen. It is the potential, and it is potential. So potential is infinite. If you think about potential as a color, potential is the color of black. Okay. So it is the darkness, it is the womb. And within that color, from a metaphysical state, a scientific state, the color black actually holds all of the frequencies of colors within it. So when we are tapped into potential via the fifth dimension, we are tapped into potentially the full spectrum of light of our expression, of our human expression. So when we are in the fifth dimension, we are feeling, we are a vibration, and feeling and thoughts are more gentle vibrations. Are they slower, or what I believe thoughts are faster, because if you have any type of extrasensory perception, you have had the experience where you have thought about a song or you've thought about a person and it comes on the radio or that person calls you. This is thought energy communicating to you through the ethers, which we are going to call the fifth dimension for the purpose of conversation, that they are finding their way to you. And you can also emit your personal frequency, your radio frequency, you can think of it as your vibrations, your thoughts, your energy. They travel out and they reverberate out into the physical reality. Okay. And so when we are working in the fifth dimension, we are really concentrating our energy on energy. Okay. And feminine energy operates and it blossoms and it thrives within that unseen realm. Because if you think about the simple principles of masculine and feminine energy, masculine energy is well shaped, it is well formed, it's very 3D, it's very physical. Masculine energy exerts itself, it shows up, you feel it. You not only do you feel it, but you see it and you are experiencing it tangibly. Feminine energy speaks to you in a way and where it whispers. I often love to describe feminine energy as a scent, and we've talked about signature scents and things like that when it comes to your goddess energy and other conversations that we've had. So when you are in the fifth dimension with yourself and you are in tune with really feeling what your emotions feel like, what your emotional state is like for that day, how you are absorbing the world into your sensations, and how you are being through your conscious awareness day to day. That is the essence of feminine energy. And it is the feeling and the vibration that does not require actual physical work, basically. And so when we are sharpening our perceptions, and when we are developing that intimate relationship with our inner goddess for the purpose of living our life through our divine feminine energy, and then activating that goddess energy so that we know exactly where and when to use our masculine energy for the outcome of what we would prefer as pleasure in life, we are very much in attune to that vibration. Okay. So masculine energy is the container and feminine energy fills it up. So what is inside of your cup? Okay. So we want to start to dive into these deeper dialogues with ourselves, having deeper experiences of our emotions. So I remember when I was younger, before I really started to work on my voice, which is also translates into how I creatively and artistically express myself. Like, this is all throat chakra energy. It is your creative expression. Okay, it's how you verbally express yourself, how you communicate, how you think with yourself, all of those things. So before I really started to really dive into that journey of communication and speaking up for myself and speaking truth into myself, I remember that there was a long period of my life where I was actually very much limited in my ability to be truthful with myself. And so the way that this manifested was with me basically numbing out the challenging emotions that I was experiencing. And I was numbing myself out in the form of addictions, which is something that the shadow aspect of all of us do. And any type of underdeveloped aspect of yourself is a reflection of where your inner child got stuck. So, is a reflection of arrested development. Okay. So, as you are growing up and you find that you have limitations, you will find that if you trace that back into your childhood or your developmental years, that there was some place where you actually got stuck. And for me, it manifested intimately inside of my throat chakra because when I was a kid, I was always told that a child is supposed to be seen and not heard. Okay. And so I really had to work through my issues with speaking up for myself and stating what I wanted and my desire, and even especially with myself. So there came a point where I could no longer function in life through just the basic default survival mode of numbing myself out, finding addictions through relationships, through food, through weed, like all these things I was numbing myself out with so that I didn't have to have those conversations with the parts of myself that were hurting. I was trying to mute them. Let me know in the comment section below if you know what that experience is like. And I also want you to ask yourself, if you're into journaling, you have your journal for this video, what parts of myself have I been putting on mute? Okay. And in videos coming up in the future, I don't know how it's going to flow, but you can expect to hear more about inner child work and how we mute ourselves and how those things show up and the importance of healing those. We're going to talk about that in a different video. But ask yourself, what part of myself have I put on mute? What aspect of my voice, what aspect of my expression has not been fully expressed? What have I hampered? And what aspects of my light have I dimmed down because of something that happened to me in my past? Okay. So ask yourself that question. I'm going to hydrate. And I also am curious, has there been anything that you have done for your throat and with your communication that has broken the seal of limitations for you and how you think about yourself and how you feel about yourself? Is there anything that really did something for you? I know for me, during the time where I was really exploring the edges of my expression, which also manifested itself through my sexuality and in pole dance, because your ability to express yourself, and this is very important, this is one of the most important things that I've learned that I can share with you today, is expression, communication, and your sexual sacral chakra energy are deeply, intricately linked because of multiple reasons that I'm not going to get deeply into, but on every aspect, physically, mentally, and spiritually, your sexual energy and your creative ability to communicate and express yourself are deeply, deeply linked physiologically and everything, energetically, it's all linked. So one of the medicines that I use to help me to be able to be here where I am today, which is having these conversations, these open, uh, vulnerable conversations with you about my life and my experience and the confidence to give you this guidance. One of the medicines that I did for myself for years was I actually wore chokers over my throat chakra, because I knew that this was a weak point for me where I was actually leaking energy out through my youth. Like energy was always being leaked out of my throat chakra and my voice because I had these cords that were connected to these relationships that were toxic, that I didn't heal within myself. And so I had this vulnerability in my voice for a long time. And because I went through the experience of living in so many different places around so many different energies, I felt the need to protect myself. And also, it also helped me to facilitate this energy of being chaste for so many years as I was cultivating my energy. So wearing chokers was a medicine that worked for me for a long time. And I stopped wearing chokers, I think, at some point last year. But that was super helpful for me. And there may be something that works for you. Maybe it's a tea or a crystal. Like I've used crystals that have helped me to heal my throat chakra. And yeah, so there's just a lot of things that you can do. Let me know if there's something that you found that works for you. Okay. So, what we want to start to do with our communication and the intention behind shifting our communication to support our goddess frequency is we actually want to be intentional about the life that we are designing. Okay. So, there's a life that we can elevate ourselves and our conscious awareness into that goddess frequency, which is whole, it is masculine, it is feminine, it is divine, it is it is creative. Okay. And we want to be in alignment with that sacred, whole, unified design of ourselves versus living life by default. So that is showing up to life not having any standards or parameters for how we exist and show up and rituals and things like that. And life just starts to happen. Life just starts to happen to you. And the next thing you know, now you have to show up for this thing that may seem random to you by appearance, but it only seems random because you haven't actually been paying attention to the signs that life is showing you. And signs and symbols and sacred language of nature and the language of the universe is essential when it comes to developing your communication. So when I was young, when I was a young shaman, a young priestess, I used to spend so much time just allowing myself to be held in nature. And for me, I did not have a good or healthy connection with my mother. Like there was a deep mother wound that I've had to work through in my life. And because I didn't have my mother in my life during my formative years, I had to really rely on Mother Nature to raise me and to support me. And I found so much and so much love within nature, sitting on the grass, connecting with trees, letting the animals speak to me and share with me their wisdom. And another thing that I also use as a medicine to support me were the mothering energies within my community. Okay, so I had a lot of surrogate mothers out there that, gave me guidance, aunties, mothers, grandmothers that supported me. And as I've healed and healed and healed, I now have beautiful sisters surrounding me, and we love and we nurture each other, and we keep each other aligned, and it's beautiful. So these things all start to grow. So can you see how the womb is affected by what your mother has passed on to you, and how this then affects how you show up and how you communicate and how you express yourself. Like, it is all connected. So when you start to heal one aspect of yourself, you'll find that everything, it's like several things start to have this domino effect, where by healing the one part of yourself, for me, it was my sexuality that healed my sexuality, which healed my communication, which is your belief system. Okay. And that healed my mothering womb. Okay. So it's all intricately linked. It's all linked. One thing affects the other. So the statement of the day is, I am creating my life by design rather than default. So go ahead, drop your favorite color heart below and leave that statement if this message is resonating with you. I am creating a life that I design rather than the life I am living by default. Okay. And this is something that has been super pivotal for me, being intentional, asking for what you want. And if you don't know what you want, just spending time in quiet until you find that inspiration, and communicating again with your spirit guides for that guidance. All right. So there are two different ways in which you can approach life. Okay. There's a couple of ways in which you can approach life, but we're going to talk about two or three. Okay. So there's the autopilot approach for life, where you wake up every day and you go the same activities day in and day out, and you really don't put any thought into, why am I partaking in these activities? Like, why is it, why is it that you're eating what you eat every day? Why is it that, you automatically wake up and you reach for whatever it is you reach for first thing in the morning? Like, where did you cultivate these habits from? Are they conscious habits? That's autopilot. Okay. And then there is a multiplicitous, I just had to use a big word today. We just had to go there. A multiplicitous understanding that as a goddess, working to align with your goddess frequency, that you have access to the infinite fifth dimension. And inside of this infinite state of this quantum field that everybody's talking about. So I'm gonna start to share my take on this quantum field, because I have been working in this field, and this is where you need to be. That's the pocket. That's the goddess pocket. So within this quantum field of multiple possible realities, am I aware of the reality that I am aligning to because of the conversation that I'm having with myself? And am I aware of the reality that I am aligning with myself? Right? So if you think about it, there's one card inside of the Wild Archetypes deck. And I think it's called the Creator. So I'm seeing this card. It's almost like this painting. So there's like a circle, and I think there's like a darkness or like a gem or something like that in the middle of the circle. And what is being emitted from this circle is basically like a rainbow. So there's paints of different colors, right? So where we are is wanting to be in the center of this circle of possible realities that we get to choose for ourselves through our thoughts, which dictate our action, reality, like we talk about all the time. Okay, you're right there in the center. And so when we are able to slow down time and access that deep awareness of where we stand emotionally and mentally in our thought habits, we start to boost those pathways of potential colors. And what those pathways are the timelines that exist for us. Okay. So when you are living from a higher consciousness, you recognize that time is non-linear because you are experimenting. You have to experiment with the way in which you hold intention for something to come into your life and observe how it manifested. So your ability to lock into a desire through your thoughts, through your conscious focus of your thoughts and your energy, is going to start to shift the quality of your manifestations and the speed of your manifestations, because it fundamentally governs your frequency and your vibration. This is high level, sophisticated goddess communication skills. Okay. So communicating with yourself is super important, because every conversation that you are saying is up in front of you. There is a delay in time between what happens conversationally, energetically in the fifth dimension to when it then physically shows up in the material realm. Okay. There is a delay because this physical reality is just denser, it's heavier, it's slower, like it has to physically show up. And so, one of the keys to manifesting the reality that you want by design is your ability to hold that vibration, hold that thought, hold that positive belief. So, that's why every conversation that we have channel about your personal reality, because we are in training in our personal vibration the ability to embody preferred frequency so that we can align with our preferred life. That's the whole formula. It's just alignment and consistency. So the more consistently you can communicate with yourself and understand not only how you are communicating with yourself, but the parts of yourself that you are communicating to, because every time you speak and you have a conversation that is being narrated in your mind, you are talking to a different part of yourself. Okay. So you're just going straight to this high level, sophisticated communication. All right. So what I have found through reading and through my journey and through this experience is that the present moment that we are living in, there's nothing but the present. Okay. And this is how you unlock time and how you start to shift through timelines, how you start to slow time down when you need it to be slowed down, how you start to speed time up when you need to speed it up, is by recognizing how to lock into the present moment, which we've talked about, that feeling sensation inside of our goddess body. Okay. And feeling more. And that is the key, and why it's always so important to feel. That's why I created a course on water and feelings and tapping. Check out yamds.co. Okay, so now we're really getting into it. All right. So there is a narrator that occurs in your mind that is talking to you about the way the weather looks, that's talking to you about what you have to do at work today, how you feel about work, what you're doing next week. Like, so this narrator is either fully present in the moment that you're having right now here on YouTube. You could be doing like multiple things. You could be trying to like text somebody while you're watching this video, or you could be driving like I often do when I'm watching a video. But the present comes back in that moment. Is how are you narrating what is happening to you presently? Are you narrating it positively, negatively? Are you narrating it from a future perspective? So two things that we are going to talk about, okay, is the tense in which you are narrating your life. So when you're talking and you're going through your day, notice there is a voice in your head. This is the ego. Okay, this is the ego's perception of your life. Okay, so the ego's perception of your life, you're going to be talking about what's happening for you, whatever is running through your mind presently. Okay, you're going to be focused on the future, like when I do this, when I do that, when I have this, when I get that, when I got to do this next week, I got to make this decision on Monday. Not, oh, it's time for me to relax and chill and enjoy the weekend. It's Saturday for me here. Monday, like Monday's pulling on you and taking you out of your present experience of your body. Okay. Even worse is focusing on the past and what happened in the past and how how this affected you and what you're carrying from how you narrated the past. The past is just a memory. And the more that we focus on the past, the more that we are taking our present energy and we are funneling it into something that no longer exists. So when you are spending all of your energy focusing on negative things that happen from your past, holding on to things that somebody did to you, or rerunning a scenario in your mind that happened in the past, you're siphoning off, you're just pouring out of your cup. You might as well just take your cup out and just pour it out for the past. This is your energy. Okay? This is your energy that you get to fill up with love and everything it is that you need and everything it is you desire. When you think about the past, you focus and you ruminate on the past, regrets, pouring it out. Okay. What you hate about that situation, pouring it out. That person, that situation. Okay. Future tripping. I have to have this in my future. I must have it. I can't enjoy the present right now because I'm really focusing on what I need in the future. Pouring it out. Okay. Versus I am present with my vibration. I am present with my energy. I am gratitude. I am full of love. I am full of hope and patience and presence. This is what happens. You nourish yourself and you pour right back into this cup. Imagine I have like a magic wand and I just tap the cup and then it fills back up with water. The ever overflowing cup. Can you imagine if I just became magic on y'all real quick? Out of nowhere. Okay. So your focus, where your focus grows, in other words. So the narrator that you have in your mind, we want to take that narration and make it present. Okay. Yes, there are times where you need to think about the past to assess the past, but this is the thought realm, it's the masculine realm. We want to get into the body. There's times where we want to be in our masculine energy and thinking and working through things. Like I had to be in my masculine energy to get these notes down, right? We're goddesses, we're balanced. Okay. And there are some times where you really need to be focused on what is my future going to be like, what it is I desire for my future. But when you are really trying to create and have that creative process, it is about aligning yourself energetically to what that future is going to feel like in your body right now. Because the past is the present and the present is the future. Because in that circle of light, of that infinite wheel of light, all of these things exist: the past, the present, and multiple future timelines. Okay. This is how it works. So the presence of whatever it is you are vibrating, consciously vibrating by choice, deciding what you want, what that looks like, what it then feels like for you, and communicating that frequency into your body via your thoughts, your habits, the way that you speak to yourself by staying present with the feeling that you have in your body right now, is going to shift you, and it is going to increase and open and expand your goddess frequency and your ability to hold that vibration for longer and greater periods of time. Hope that this is all making sense to you. Please comment below to let me know. Okay, so then so that's the tense: past, present, future. How am I really, like, where's my energy focus? Am I being drawn to the future? Am I being drained by the past, or am I focused? And when you are focused on the present moment, there's a ton more of accountability that has to occur when you are present in your body, because future tripping and ruminating on the past are forms of addiction. They are forms of addictive shadow behavior that we use to limit and to distract ourselves from what the truth of the matter is what is happening in this present moment, right? Like I was telling you about before, when I used to do that and I had to learn how to become present. And the thing about it, and the reason that it's not easy, is because when you're present, you have to be accountable. You have to be accountable for who you are placing the blame on, which brings me to my next topic. Okay. It is the tone in which you are speaking to yourself. So the tone in which you are speaking to yourself is going to complement the tense. All right. So if the tone in which you are speaking and narrating your life is in the form of a complaint, you're complaining about something, that is an addictive behavior to always have something to complain about. Okay. Which is why I'm so grateful that life purged out, like God purged out of my life, excuse me, situations and circumstances that drained me. So now I have nothing to complain about. Like life is so good right now, y'all. When I tell you I have manifested like the ability to be unbothered, I fit my life in a way where everything that I do, I find joy and love and pleasure from. And rarely things annoy me now. Like I feel so blessed and so fortunate. So the tone, do we complain about life and what's happening, or can we find gratitude instead of complaining and diminishing the value of what our present experience is? And this is not easy. It takes so much maturity and so much accountability, but this is the core of what goddess dreams are made of. It is having that clear energetic signature. It is the being emotionally current with yourself. It's not faking and acting as if nothing is bothering you, but it is choosing to take a higher, elevated goddess perspective and to see the power in what you once saw as something that is disempowering you, and choosing to change your perspective in a way in which you are being supported by what is occurring for your growth. Okay. So you could be asking yourself certain questions. Okay, I'm going to file this in the category of your tone. Like there are certain questions that you may just be asking yourself about life. Try asking those questions out loud. Try journaling those questions out. And also, I want to encourage you to try to acknowledge your spirit guides more in their support for you. And this is something that I've been doing recently. Like I've been just getting real sophisticated with my communication. Now that I have that mastery over how I communicate with myself and what's going on in my mind, just that private conversation, I'm now finding mastery over communicating with my spirit guides and my support system so that they can better help and support me and know exactly what I need and how I feel, rather than assuming that they know everything that's happening in my mind. And this is something that I've recently learned over like the last, year or so, where I really started to put more energy into that. And it does work like a charm. It works like a charm. Okay. So you want to recognize when you are high and when you are low, and what frame of mind or perspective it is that you need to adopt to help you to either stay in that elevated frequency of happiness and joy, or to elevate yourself out of those lows, which are going to happen. This is the gift of having this human experience. It is our ability and the privilege of experiencing the full spectrum of emotions. It is a blessing. So again, we are grateful for the lows. We are grateful for the highs, and we cultivate a present experience of all of these things for ourselves. So the tone that we are using, all right, is going to be a tone where we are starting to become more aware. So when you tap into your goddess self, which is your higher self, you're going to become a clear, judgmental perspective of the narration that you have going on in your mind. So when you're narrating life and you are complaining about something, I want you to be very sensitive, sensitize, and attune yourself to what your higher perspective would guide you in this thing. So let's say you're having a very challenging day and the emotions are now starting to come online to help you to work and to focus through these challenges, right? And you're having this automatic emotional response. The chemical hormonal cocktail starts to brew, and now you're sipping it and you're repeating these thoughts, and you're going down that path of figuring out how to overcome this struggle. What I want you to start to do is say, what does my goddess self think about this? What do my spirit guides think about this? Like, how can I zoom up and zoom out and find an elevated perspective on what I am experiencing at this level, at this three-dimensional level. How can I elevate and find a higher, more quantum, goddess-based perspective on what is happening to me down here? Okay, because there is also an aspect of myself, and this is one of the take-home messages of this conversation that we're having, is that there are multiple aspects of ourself. We are not autopilot. We are non-linear beings. You are an infinite being having an infinite experience that is just funneled through all the way down into this three-dimensional moment of expression. However, your existence and your consciousness and the place in which you were seated from is infinite. Okay. So we want to recognize that we have the choice of this infinite perspective to tune into and pour and to filter through these channels to make this thing work for us. Okay. So when you're experiencing challenges or when you are experiencing a shift in your life, or a wobble, as one of my master teachers likes to call it, I want you to find your goddess, find her, and say, "Dear goddess self, what do you think about this? What do you feel about this? Why is this happening for me? Not to me, because we're not victims. Okay, that's a voice. That is an archetype, the victim. Okay." We want to be coming from that higher perspective. All right. So we want to bring awareness to the voice in which we are speaking to ourselves with. So there's the voice of the narrator. And let me tell you the thing about the narrator that you want to be aware of, because like I said before, the narrator is the ego. And so what the ego is this manifestation of these things that have infiltrated the purity of your natural essence and that have now infiltrated who you naturally were as a soul when you came into this experience. And again, come up against these experiences through childhood and through your years and through life and relationships and just going through this process where the ego had to start to shape and form itself within this greater scheme of who you actually are. So this narrator is now the voice of the people that have rejected you. This narrator is the voice of the people that you thought loved you but betrayed you. This voice is now the narrator of the wounded child that decided to cope with, being abandoned or left or whatever the story is that you have experienced in your life. Okay. It is being narrated through the filter of however it is you chose to deal with and to process these experiences in life. But now that your higher self, your goddess self is online and it's like turning on the light in a room that was very dimly lit, you now have this light shining down on you, your goddess perspective. You can now say, I am going to start to allow my goddess self to be the narrator of this physical reality for me, rather than the ego self that feels like a victim, that feels stuck, that feels like she doesn't have the answers to the questions that I need. You're going to start to activate and tap into that divine perspective because it is your birthright. Okay. And so I always like to look at the part of myself that is struggling or wobbling as the smaller version of myself. You may have heard me say this before, but I call her little Andrea. Little Andrea is having this experience, and my higher self, my goddess self, is shining her light down on me and reminding me to connect with my ancestors, reminding me to connect with nature and natural medicines and the process that I created for myself. And whatever process it is that my spirit guides are laying out before me, help me through this very human experience. Okay, there's our little self, and then there is our goddess self. Okay, and when we are talking to ourselves, we do want to be aware of the parts of ourselves that we are talking to. So, who are you speaking to? All right. There are, we'll break it down and keep it simple for now, two parts of yourselves that you can communicate with when you are talking, when you're narrating your life through the tense from the past, the present, the future, and when you are speaking with this potential tone of positivity, negativity, curiosity, okay? You're talking to one of two parts of yourself for the purpose of today's topic, okay? There's a part of you that is enabling, that is a wounded part of yourself, which is usually some kind of younger version of yourself that is in the experience of arrested development. Okay, you are wounded, and your conversation that you're having with this part of yourself is a conversation that is potentially supporting and enabling this wounding to perpetuate. So when you're having your conversation with yourself and you're working through your process and you make a decision on how to deal with whatever is happening for you, and the wounded aspect of yourself tell you how they feel, which you already know these feelings because they have been running in your body since the first time an incident like this happened to you. This is the wounded aspect of yourself that, and you are narrating it, okay? But what I want to challenge you to do is get the goddess online, turn the light on, turn on your goddess perspective, and find out what is, okay? The other aspect of yourself that you can choose to highlight and to speak to and to heal is the healing part of yourself and the evolving part of yourself. So with every conversation that we direct, okay, wherever we decide to pour our energy into, is either going to be the enabled wounded aspect of ourselves, the old frequency, the small vibration, or it is going to be the aspect of ourselves that is evolving, that is healing, and we are speaking life into that. And when you speak life and you communicate to yourself into the healing, evolving aspect of yourself, you set forth a positive chain of vibrational experiences that then elevate and expand and open up your consciousness, which is then reflected back to you in life. Okay. So remember that these are the aspects that we can speak to, and that's just touching the surface of communication. You can communicate to so many different aspects of yourself, your inner mother, your inner child, your inner sister. Like, there's so much. This stuff goes deep. And I've been doing this work for years and years and years and years. And I thought that I would share that with you. So the last thing that I am going to share with you in this video is just the science, a little bit of the science about water, okay, and why communication and why thoughts are so important, okay? So we have the astral realm, which is the dream realm where we sleep, where our psychic energy goes to heal. The activation of how we are processing our life on a subconscious level happens in the ether, the astral realm, okay? The ether in the astral realm is synonymous with space, okay? So space is outer space, right? And if you watch Star Trek, then you'll know, okay? So outer space is the unknown, right? When we sleep, it is the unknown, it is the dark. But then what is reflected back, what is the same as outer space but actual on Earth? Okay, there's the ocean. There is the ocean that is happening. And it seems as if we know more about outer space than what we know about the ocean. Okay, so if outer space is the as above, and then the ocean, the sea, is the as below with all of her mysteries, okay, our dream realm is the as above, okay, and our emotional realm is the as below. And they are both linked to water. So from occult studies, it is understood that when we sleep, we are in a water realm, okay? Outer space is a water ether realm, okay? Just like the oceans, okay? there are oceans that are there. So if we have this emotional system, okay, this spiritual in our body, or this system, this physical system that where water connects to this psychic realm, they are linked, which is why hydrating yourself is so important. Okay. We are influencing our emotions through our thought. So the ether, fifth dimension, thought, energy, emotions, they are intricately linked. And we can start to make these connections simply by the communication. Okay. So if our bodies are 70% water, and water, furthermore, is strongly affected by the power of words, which there's lots of research on that. I talk about it more in detail in my courses. Okay. And we are thinking and we are affecting and we are imprinting the water that is in our body. This is all the more reason for us to become sophisticated masters and mistresses of how we communicate with ourselves energetically, because we are water-based beings. And you can really just hack into life and shift a ton of things just by understanding these simple principles of the water in our body, the communication that we go through, and the importance of all of that. So I hope that you enjoyed this chat today. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and comment below. I would love to hear from you. Love you, and I will catch you in the next one. One love.